Good morning, everyone. It's been about a year since we restarted the CTSI Open Research Office sessions. During that time, we've had the privilege of hearing from 8 experts on covering topics like clinical recruitment, an intro to REDCap, and plain language. If you missed any of those topics and would like a refresher on any of them, the recordings are all available. I'm actually including a link to the recordings in the chat. So we were very fortunate that Kim Brunton joined us as our first presenter last year, giving us information on central study registration. We're happy to welcome her again for today's session on OnCore, and also Maria Chernova's here in case there are additional questions to help out. But Kim's the director of operations and at the clinical research office. If you have any questions during the session, Marshall and I will be able to keep an eye on the chat, or feel free to use the raise hand option in Zoom. So Kim, thank you so much for joining us today, and I will let you get started talking to us about OnCore.
Well, thank you. And yeah, thank you for the return visit. It's great. And just so everybody knows, Maria Cherneva is one of our OnCore specialists and very knowledgeable in everything that's going on with OnCore and how to navigate things. So she'll be along the way in case you have any technical questions. But with that, I will get started.
Thank you, Kim.
So just kind of a little bit quickly, the objectives of what we're going to go over today is just kind of a gross overview of what OnCore is, its purpose, and the difference between when we say that this is a full study or a summary accrual study, what that actually means to you. A couple of the advantages of using the system. We're going to briefly go over the OnCore policy for the university and we'll touch on just exactly what how important timely data is to get into the system. So the purpose of OnCore is basically the dean has a very great goal of being one of the top 25 public research institutions in the United States. In order to do that, we need some kind of handle on what is going on in clinical trials and clinical research. To that end, we have OnCore in place. OnCore is a clinical trial management system. And it's basically so that we can increase our functionality, our efficiency, the reporting, which is huge, and also compliance. So OnCore is going to help us achieve that through monitoring the study or managing the study throughout the life of the study. Find my cursor again here. Here we are. So as I said, it's a clinical trial management system. It integrates all of the components of research administration and all of our affiliated institutions. So it will let us know what is happening where. It allows for very robust reporting, enrollment tracking, subject management, financial reconciliation. It is comprehensive. It is web-based, which is kind of nice because you don't have to be sitting in your office in order to get into the system and do what you need to. So if you're out at one of the affiliated institutions, if you're at a physician's office, if you're at a clinic, whatever it is accessible to you so that you can manage your study and your patients. We do our budgeting. Our workflow flows through OnCore, again, through the life of the study. It allows for visiting scheduling, sponsor invoicing. We do all of our financial reconciliation through here. which is huge. And I will touch on that and show you what that looks like in just a little bit. So then the first thing that I want to touch on is the reporting that we can get out of the system. I think one of the things that we really need to realize, like anything, the reports are only as good as the data that is in it. So that is what we just would like you to be cognizant of what you put into the system and make sure that it's accurate and timely. So things that we get asked for, some kind of report almost daily. Would it be the number of subjects that we are, or I'm sorry, the number of studies that we are running, what type of studies those are, the accrual reporting for each of those studies and as an institution as a whole. We also can report on ethnicity, general demographics, the diversity, excuse me, underrepresented populations, special populations. So all of those things, we can run reports on those things. And as you can understand, a lot of times we need that information for various functions, be it through the CTSA, the reports to the NIH, reports to the institution, to leadership. And again, one of the other huge reporting things that we have is the ability for financial reporting. As I said, this can be requested or provided to individual PIs, groups of PIs, department chairs, leadership, both at the VPHS and the VPRED level. The Research Foundation, SUNY Research Foundation, frequently asks us for what is going on. This played a huge role when they were trying to get a handle on what we were doing in COVID research. We were asked for weekly reports on what was going on in COVID. The NIH, through the CTSA, we also have reporting that is required that goes to them. And that is sometimes becomes a little bit of a challenge. Those reports actually are run every 2 weeks. So as you can see, that timely data to give us the most accurate representation of what is actually going on is huge for us. Enrollment tracking is another one of those things that we do keep an eye on. So it's nice to know what your portfolio looks like at a glance. If you are a PI, it's like, okay, I've got 16 studies. How many of them are actually enrolling? Do I need to start looking at maybe getting, opting out of a couple of them if it's very difficult to enroll? What does that look like? What does your overall portfolio look like? And we can do this in 2 different ways. And one is summary accrual and one is full studies. Basically, what it comes down to is if for clinical research, if somebody is signing a consent, we need to know about it. And in one way or another, it is going to be tracked in OnCore. So I will tell you that the OnCore specialists receive information from our clinical research, our clinical study registration form, as well as click to build studies in OnCore. And from that is kind of where that determination is made as to whether or not it needs to be a summary accrual or a full study. If it is a full study, it involves a full calendar of a schedule of events and varying visits that are required. And so the OnCore specialist will reach out to the coordinators when they have a calendar created. It's something that the coordinator does not need to do. It is based on the schedule of events that's usually within the protocol. And it is a a process that is collegial, I guess is the best way to put it. So they will present you with what a calendar is, and it is out there for your approval. So if it doesn't capture the studies, the patients, what is happening, the essence of your study, then it's up to the coordinator or that person reviewing the calendar to get back in touch with either Maria or Laura, who is our other specialist, to talk that out and see what is the best way to suit the study that you are looking at. This is a very kind of interesting part of how the data is collected, or what data we need to collect. And this will be represented a little bit later on in the review of the policy. But as you can see, basically anything retrospective is really not where we're looking at. Anything that is considered not human subjects research does not necessarily, or does not need to be into the system. The one thing I will say is we do occasionally have retrospective chart reviews that are industry sponsored, because they have that financial element to them. They will be captured. Again, that will be that conversation between you and the specialists as far as how that's done. Usually, because it's a retrospective chart review or a retrospective study that involves financials, it'll most likely be more on the summary accrual side. But again, that's your conversation. When you get into the prospective studies, you look at your interventional versus non-interventional. All of the health sciences schools are mandated to go in if it's into the system. If it is non-interventional, it's summary accrual, standard summary accrual that would be required. Interventional, again, clinical trials. If it is a drug device type of intervention, that is always going to be a full study requiring full information with regard to the subjects and the subject visits. If it's a behavioral intervention and it is funded, then we are going to ask for that summary accrual data. Again, this is all, we'll go through this a little bit more in depth in a little bit. Summary accrual. From your homepage, you will see this is this field, the summary accrual only, is going to be either a yes or a no. If it is yes, it is a summary accrual. We are going to be looking at things like we'd like a lot more information than actually than you would have to, or I should say that you can get away with putting in. But again, think of those reports that we need. Think of all that information. More information is power. And it doesn't go on individual subject visits. It goes on basic demographics of that person. Excuse me. So what it looks like is this. And you can see playing catch up because we started OnCore in 2017, 2018, basically for some of the things. So we put in gross numbers. And then we get down to later when we ask for some of those things. And so you can see it's basic demographics. This is a male, he's between this age, he's non-Hispanic. And that day they enrolled 2 that fit that category. So these individual ones, if it makes sense, again, that's that conversation with our specialists to put it in, because we do a lot of reporting on this. We do ask for the zip code if possible. And again, that helps us to ascertain whether we're looking at vulnerable populations. or underrepresented minorities. So it does help us a little bit in getting that data, but the long and the short of it is, if you can put to this level of detail, then it really helps us out in the long run as far as getting those that reporting and what we need. This can also help you with your NIH reporting. If you're reporting to NIH, you need basically all of this information. So it becomes, yeah, I need a report of, and there, your report's done. You don't have to keep a separate spreadsheet. You don't have to go back through binders, whatever the case may be, to get that information for your reporting. Full studies. This includes the full subject management. Okay, so we refer to them that way if a protocol calendar is required. And that's, you're going to be recording individual subject visits and the procedures that occur within those visits. And you can see in this case, from the home screen on your study, it will say that summary accrual is no. If it says no, it means it's a full study. Most of these will be funded by industry or federal. And the full financials are predominant, I shouldn't say, for most of these, or basically all of these, the full financials will be followed and reconciled within OnCore by our financial specialists within the research office. And so what this does for you is to make sure that you are paid for everything that you are doing. You can see they reflect the individual, and this is out of our train environment, so this is not real data. They reflect the individual subjects and the multiple visits throughout the course of the study. Financial management, as I said, is associated with that. And this will include full name, demographics, when they signed consent, when they were considered on study. There's the area up top, which kind of gives you the gross overview. And then the nice part about when you get to this side, you have to be careful of, not be careful, but be cognizant of hyperlinks in OnCore, because which you can only see the little bit of it here, but the subject number is a hyperlink, so you can go straight to that person from your listing as well. And then this is kind of just a little bit of a view of what that calendar looks like. So once the calendar is built and you have a patient enrolled, it does take a couple of minutes to put the information in when you are beginning a trial and putting a person onto the study. But then it really becomes, everything is laid out, and you just it tells you when it should happen. It will tell you generally if there's a visit variance allowed. And then all you have to do then is click that it occurred and the date that it occurred. If there's anything different from what is laid out for that visit that happened, then you write in what didn't happen, and we can kind of go from there. Financial reconciliation. The CRO is responsible for the budget approval, the sponsor invoicing, payment receipt, reconciliation, as well as account management through the Research Foundation system. So OnCore does receive some of the reporting through integration with the Oracle system at SUNY, so that we can get that information to you. We can do some really nice financial reporting. The subject level information, as well as notification through the system of that a financial event has occurred. Then invoices will be created that that will kind of, it will help us track as far as if you've had some of those financial events. Those things are like monitoring visits, SAE reporting, I&D reports, change of monitor, change of CRO, FDA or a sponsor audit, things that are going to be built into your budget that are invoiceable and take your time. The only way that we have to invoice those is if you let us know. There is a mechanism within the system to report those financial events, and there's a tip sheet available. I know Maria and has put that out. There's a lot of tip sheets that are available. Financial report or events is one of the really important ones. If you don't enter these, we don't know about it, and you are leaving money on the table, money for work that you did. So, as you can see here, as far as financial reconciliation is very detailed. It includes everything that was paid for each subject, but it also delineates the financial events. And you can see these were monitoring visits that were paid, the dates they occurred, how we received it, what all happened, what patient number it was, and so we will go back and make sure that you got paid for everything in a study visit. So some of those CRF, you will be paid upon CRF completion of. That's fine. When the CRF is done, then the next cycle you'll be paid for that patient. Some of those contracts say that they will pay on monitored data, which is fine. So when they come up with a visit that you get $1,500 for, and they pay you $750, then we need to start looking at why didn't they pay the full amount. And so then, and that's kind of where you can get into some of the things where, oh, we forgot to pay you for the rest of that when it was monitored or whatever. So it just, this is us keeping track that you get all your money. We will never close a study until we have ensured that you have completed all of the billing, and that you are paid for everything in the contract, and we have double checked all of this with you. So we will not close it out of our system until we are sure we are not leaving anything on the table. For any investigators or coordinators on the call, I just want you to remember that some sponsors will send you a reconciliation report from their end, and they want you to sign off on it. Please don't. Most of the time, those are incorrect, and they highly undervalue what you are owed. If you get one of these, please contact the CRO, Mary Beth Garris, in our CRO, and we'll help to reconcile that. You can forward anything you may receive to Mary Beth and with a CC to Pam Anderson, and we can go from there. I will tell you a personal caveat. I had a study that provided one of these to the investigator, and thank goodness he gave it to me, and he said, "Is this right?" And by their counts, they owed us $1,100, and by my count, they owed us almost $12,000. So we got the $12,000. So it's just, if you sign that, it's kind of a signing off on, yep, that's all that we owe you. And so it's just, it's kind of making sure that they're not trying to pull a fast one. A lot of times they don't, but sometimes it's just kind of like, no, they haven't invoiced for it, so let's just get it now. So just kind of be cognizant of that.
Kim?
Yes.
Going back to the previous page, Mary had a question about how to get to that page in OnCore.
Right. I'm actually, thank you, Mary. This is where I'm coming up to.
Okay, thanks. That would be great.
All right, thanks. Okay, so Mary, yeah, you will like this. So this is one of the upcoming reports that we have, and we just have a couple of little bugs that we're as far as being able to view it working out. But it is really an exciting functionality for both coordinators and PIs. And if I can find my little, there we are. So there is a new role that we are putting into OnCore, and it will allow you to see the financial reporting that is going on, invoicing, the receipt of payment, and you can see here. So with this, and how things are kind of tracking along. Excuse me. So you can see the date that something was invoiced, when a check was received or a wire transfer was received, the amount that was received. That's great, dandy, and wonderful. This is the invoice number. How do I know what that 33,000 entailed? So again, hyperlinks are very important. If you click on the hyperlink, you will get the detail for that individual invoice. So you can do this with each invoice as well. Again, this is the level of granularity that we can get to and that we can report to you. So it's something that I think will help a lot of people who may be keeping that separate spreadsheet to make sure everything is correct, or that that we have everything captured. Again, if you put it in OnCore into the system, we will be able to capture it. We run reports on those financial events every week, and so budget or invoices will go out based on that, irrespective of sometimes the company has said that they'll pay you once a quarter, or once every 4 months, or whatever it comes down to, but those invoices still go out. Some of those advantages of the system is basically it's that central repository for our clinical research activity. It promotes less time-consuming and accurate reporting to all levels. Again, personal caveat, I worked for the Department of Surgery, and I was one component of the Department of Surgery. So we would get asked for what's going on, what kind of studies, what's the dollar amount, blah, blah, blah. And you would have to go through all of your studies, get that information, turn it into the chair, who would gather everybody else's from that department, who would turn it into the dean. And so it would take a lot of time, a lot of resources. And that report now can be done in about 5 seconds, as long as that, again, data in, data out. So as long as that information is within the system, we can do that reporting. You have the ability to customize landing pages via the widgets, and it helps to get those subjects or the studies very quickly. And I'll bring in here. So this is what your home screen will look like when you put in your protocols and you bookmark your protocol, so you can get directly to that that protocol. Okay, you can get directly to a patient within that protocol. So it saves a lot of time if you take the time and set up your home screen appropriately. It will take your the time navigating things a lot quicker, make it a lot easier. Again, it's that transparent financial reporting that we kind of talked about a little bit. I'm going to stop here for a minute and see if there's any other questions. Alexis or Marshall, is there anything that's in the... No?
No new questions in the chat. If anyone has any, they can feel free to speak up right now.
I have a question. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Tanya. How are you?
Good. I'm trying to understand how this system is integrating, and I don't know if that's the right term, connecting with other systems. from a PI perspective. And if you can speak a bit more about that. That would be
Sure.
great. Thank you.
So from central study registration, as I say, we do integrate into the system as far as setting up the study. And that setting up of the study is done by the OnCore specialists. We get daily reports from CLIC that come directly into the system as well. So that tells us when things are approved, when things are amended, because a lot of times there's financial things that are surrounding an amendment. If reconsenting is required, because a lot of times financial things are put in there. So, and then as well as when studies are closed. So we get all of that updated information that way. As far as on the other side of it, we integrate with the RF system, Oracle, to pull financials back from their reporting so that we can make sure that our financial reporting is correct for you. And then we also send things that way as well. So our financial team does enter things into Oracle as well, because that is the SUNY systems system of record. So what we have when we receive money in OnCore, then we put that out to the RF system as well. So it all jives. Is that?
So it's basically a financial system to keep track of that. It doesn't connect with REDCap. I mean, I don't expect it to be, because it's personal information. So it's not shouldn't connect with clinicaltrial.gov, but you can download patient level data in order to enter into clinical trial or NCAP report or
Yes.
application, that type of thing. What about multi-site centric? Does it support that? Let's say if I'm the central managing and I'm keeping track of enrollment in other sites, how does that work?
Yes, it does. So what we do is we set up the various sites. Again, that comes at the time that we're building the study. So if we know that you are the lead site and University of Washington and Rochester, whatever. So we set those up as separate sites as well. And so that data can also be inputted. So we know whether it was a local enrollment versus a one from one of the affiliates.
Okay.
REDCap does not integrate with this. I don't know that there's plans for that, but it does have its own EDC system within it that you can build your CRF within the system as well. So we're exploring that a little bit more, but it is a functionality of the system.
Okay, oh, that's helpful. So I can process like US bank card for payment to patient in Washington State or somewhere, right? Connecting with.
I would have to get back to you on that because I'm not sure about US bank card. This system has its own, kind of debit card system, which we are looking at, but it's, but the university has gone with US bank card, so we have to make a case for that, I guess is the best way to put it. So, but because any of those little add-ons are also, have a financial impact for the licensing of the system as well.
And one last comment, I'm sorry, I have so many questions. And the way patients are paid, it's different if I have a foundation grant versus NIH grant. NIH, I can use the US bank card through Kevin's office. But if I have foundation grant, I have to struggle with the gift cards, and that whole entire system is just crazy. And I think there's some improvement in that, but I would be interested in talking to you more about it.
Yeah, I think I think that even through the foundations, I mean, and this is probably be a better question for Pam, that I think that you can set it up with a US bank card as well. But it really comes down to what preference is for you and your patients.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And really, if there's any other questions, I mean, don't hesitate to ever reach out if we can help. And sometimes it's nice to explore that functionality, the additional functionality. We are not using all of the capabilities of OnCore, and we kind of keep looking at what else would be beneficial to investigators. So all of those ideas, all of those kind of wish list things are helpful for us to kind of prioritize where we put our next, effort in figuring out more of the functionality. Okay. Anybody else? All right, I'm going to kind of very quickly go over the OnCore policy. I think it's, I think it's a 3-page or 4-page policy, and nobody likes reading a policy. So it is available on the website, but I'm going to hit the highlights. So data entry is mandatory. It is not optional. We do ask for that timely and accurate entry from the research staff, because it is essential for a lot of the reporting, a lot of the financial management, all of the things that we do within the system. Sponsor invoicing, I'm sorry, for industry sponsored studies, with the exception of invoicing that is automatically triggered, is to be performed only by the CRO staff. So invoices should not be sent out by the individual departments or PIs. It is the responsibility of the PI to ensure that all required data has been entered into the system based on that algorithm that is attached to the policy that you saw a little bit earlier. And I will show you that again. Non-compliance with the policy statement will result in suspension of the account activities. And what that means is that they still may be sending in money, but your budget is not going to be increased to have those funds available to you if we cannot reconcile it. So if we get a check for, $25,000 and we have no idea what it's for, we cannot increase your budget until we know what that's for, which means the data has to go in there. So that's again, keeping it up to date, keeping it timely is really helpful when that money does come in. System training is available through the research office by reaching out to our specialists. Again, that is Maria and Laura Holtz. There's also, you can also go online to find out about OnCore training. And we're fairly amenable to making, if you've got a couple of people that need the training to get that done, or if there's a urgent need, then we can work with you to get that done if it's outside of the the normal, training schedule. Again, just to kind of give you a quick overview of this, we can send this out to everybody if you want, like an additional, so you don't have to go searching for it on the web. If you want, I can make this available to Alexis and Marshall, and they can send it out to the people that were on the study, or on this call, just to kind of help you with that quick glance as to where you can expect your study needs to be.
Kim, if you want, you could send it to me after this meeting and I could include it in the email with the post survey.
Perfect. Thank you. Upcoming things that we have to look forward to. Our specialists, both the budget and the OnCore specialists, are going to be making rounds to the individual departments to kind of do a little bit of an OnCore reboot, to kind of go over any questions that you may have, help you with some tips and tricks that will help make your OnCore experience a little bit nicer, a little bit easier, help you navigate some of those things that you may be having problems with, and also help to gain the access to that new report, that invoice report, because it it is a separate role that needs to be assigned to people within the department or the the site, I guess. So if you are an administrator, your PI may want you to have that kind of information if you are the lead coordinator on a study, but not necessarily the 3 or 4 other coordinators that you have on that study. They may not need that information. So it is a role specific. So it'll come down to letting us know who needs that role. We'll be able to assign that role, and then again show you how to use it and what those things mean. Additionally, there are those tip sheets that the girls have made up, and they walk you through some of the various functionalities of the system, show you point by point, click by click, what to do and how to navigate. You can reach out to them for a list of that if there's anything that that you have a specific need for. Again, if there's other things, it's like, I'm just not sure how to do this, let us know, and we can create one. Especially when we get more than one person asking for something, it's sometimes nice just to have that little, I don't do this often, so let me have this little reference sheet of how to navigate and do what I need to. Let's see. Just as a quick reminder, you don't have access to OnCore until you've undergone the training, and the training takes one of 2 forms. It's either as a summary accrual or summary accrual plus the full patient or subject management for full studies. And if you are somebody who, will never do a per patient, per visit type of study, then, you really only need necessarily do the summary accrual portion of the training. But if you have those per patient, or if you anticipate that you will have those things that financials will be attached to, then I do encourage you to take both forms. Again, the OnCore specialists are always available, very, very amenable to any kind of questions that you have, any suggestions. They will walk you through a lot. And so, it's Maria and Laura. One of the easiest ways to, if you need to get, without trying to remember, there is ctms@buffalo.edu. It goes to both of them. And with that, I'll leave some time if there's any other questions. And other than that, we can give you back 15 minutes of your day if there's no other questions. Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
it doesn't look like there's any questions in chat, so.
All right. Well, I thank everybody for their time. Like I say, feel free to reach out to us if there's any other follow-up. If you need other information, if you have other questions, just kind of wondering what else is going on, or how to get in touch, or how to kind of get on that list for the department reboot. And we've started with some of the departments, some of the bigger departments, but certainly we're out there to make sure that you get the information that you need. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.